on. All right. Morning, Coastal. So, yes, very much lack of sleep. It wasn't even planned to share this, but at about 2 a.m., somebody rang our doorbell last night. So, by the time the cops came and checked the house, I think it was about 3:30 I settled back in. So, but it is a blessing to be here. My childhood anchored me in the truth. My father's a pastor. We traveled around quite a bit through the states. I was born in upstate New York. We moved to the panhandle of Oklahoma for about a year, and country's country there. Our neighbor was a mile, and then the town was about 10, 20, whatever it was. From there, we moved to Kansas. I spent about the years of about 6 to 9 there, and it was just great. We could ride our bikes around anywhere through town, and the community was just awesome, and it just really helped to develop a lot of people's characteristics. The Midwest is the Midwest, and then I spent my school years in Connecticut, and Yankees are Yankees, and I can assure you that I am definitely there with that. But through my teenage years and 20s during the school years, despite knowing the truth, despite those 20s, I didn't get completely consumed. Romans 8:5 tells us here that for those who live obviously, but I love music and sports. Music is just one. If you are in our house, it is loud, it is dancing, it is bouncing around, and if you see my daughter's hair, that curliness, it's a lot of fun. But and then with the sports, I love competition. Competition, I think, just breeds the best out of anybody, and obviously healthy competition, but it just kind of keeps me going. So with my music, I love hip-hop. So during those 20s, we're blessed now where we can just download it all on a phone, but we used to go and buy a CD, go to the record store every Friday for that new album, and you had a booklet. It held about 256 CDs, I remember, and about the back 10 pages were even doubled up. I had quite the collection of some heathen music there. But so about 8 years ago, probably about 9 years ago, my wife really decided to make a commitment to follow Jesus. I always believed in Jesus, but I was not following Jesus. It was at that point where I made my decision to my wife's here. I don't know how many opportunities, God, you're trying to get me here, but I see it. I'm following you. So with that, over about a year, continually listening to that music, I was just polluting my mind. It just kept going in language after language after language, and here I am not wanting to use the language, but yet I'm listening to it every single day. And so about 8 years ago, I just made a switch and just completely got rid of secular music as a whole. And it kind of started because my wife told me none of that music gets played in the car with the son. My boy is about 1 year old in the car, and so it was Z88 forever, and I was like, well, I like hip-hop. I got to find something here, So I just switched, got a whole new group of artists, and now the phone's probably about 10,000 songs long of just all different sorts. And that kind of really leads, because when you're listening to that every single day, it's just reminding you, even when you're there, they're still talking about Jesus. They're letting you know the struggles they go through, or just things in this world that we need to be more aware of and handle. So when Pastor first asked about attempting this sermon, it was even a way, way, way back. He just kind of planted the seed, and I already had the title to this. It was there. I just had no idea where I was going to go with it. And that title really stood out with day one of this church. You see, we were in a shift. We needed to find a new church, and after months of not being involved, we just needed to get out. So I did the Google search, wrote in church, popped up. Obviously, we wanted to be kind of local. And Flagler Beach seemed pretty nice, if you ever want to go to the beach afterwards, you're already there. Yeah. So, but at that time, it said 6 North Street. So I get out of bed, run a little late. I'm like, no, I'm going to go today. So head down. I drive past 6 North. I'm like, that's a house. So, not that nothing's wrong worshiping in the house. I was just kind of, I don't know if Mama's going to be down with this one. So I was like, well, maybe it was meant to be 6 South Street. So I came around. I drive by. I see the church. I'm hesitant because I like to be on time. I'm already about 10 minutes late. It's like right then and there that battle began. I got down to that stop sign, and I stopped there, and I realized, most importantly, what I was battling right there, and that is the title of today's sermon. It is not today, Satan. I sat there at that stop sign, and I just knew there was a spiritual warfare. I was being refrained from coming to a place that my growth over the past 4 years has been tremendous. The support here in this family is amazing, and the family is not taken lightly in this church name. So 2 Corinthians 10, 3 through 5 says, "For though we walk in the flesh, we are not waging war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but have divine power to destroy strongholds. We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God and take every thought captive to obey Christ." At that stop sign, I'm not able to do this too often, but I was able to take that thought captive and knew that I just needed to turn around and come walk through those doors. Ephesians 6:12 says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places." A life with meaning is the life that the devil's trying to take, okay? So as you are continually there, there's always going to be something. There's plenty I still need to fix, but what's amazing is he continues to just chip away at you. We're aware of this even at a young age. Good, bad, my children know when they're not supposed to be doing something and when they're actually doing good, too, because they want to be praised for that also. But the circle of this life keeps doing that. It just keeps circling. Your views, your emotions, you can handle whatever your problems are. John 14:27. "The peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid." One of the hardest parts when you come to Not Today, Satan, is dealing with yourself. So lust says, I want it. Entitlement says, I deserve it. And pride says, I can handle it. Now, that's one of the hardest ones, because throughout anything, we're natural. Like, okay, just our daily jobs. You just continue to, I got it. Just the littlest things. I know I don't every single time, all right, God, how do I need to do this? You instantly just, all right, what do I normally do? I. But you see, the opposite of faith isn't doubt. It's when you got it all figured out. And as I go through that, like I said with the music, a lot of these are lyrics sometimes through it. When I'm hearing that, the opposite of faith ain't doubt, it's when I got it all figured out. You hear that. It's from an Andy Mineo song called Clarity. And it's just, I don't know, I lost it there a little bit. But, so too many times we don't realize it. Your soul is being fought for. The beauty of it is we don't have to fight for this victory. We are fighting from victory. So, again, here's another quote. The devil's on the prowl, so I got to stay in my zone. Okay? He's constantly trying to get you over and over and over. John 10:10 tells us, Did I get it right back there? So the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. But the beauty of this is, 1 Peter 5:9, resist him, firm in your faith, knowing that the same kinds of suffering are being experienced by your brotherhood throughout the world. So, he quickly just follows that right up. Don't even worry about it. You got to put your faith in there. And again, that goes back to removing I. Get rid of me, myself, and I in those moments. James 2:19 says, you believe that God is one, you do well. Even the demons believe and shudder. Even Satan already knows he's defeated. So when Satan brings up your past, remind him of his future. It's already done. It is. And again, great lyric. So, remember this. We're Christians. We're dangerous. We are dangerous. As I've been doing some devotions, I stole this one part because it just stood out to me. It just spoke to me well. If you are a Christian, you have resurrection power within you. Tap into it. Don't try to just be a stronger man or woman. Satan loves making strong men and women weak. God loves making weak men strong, men or women strong. But don't try to be a better man or woman. Be God's man or woman. Stop trying to tell your story. Start telling his. It's not about you, it's about him. Push those pillars down. Die to yourself so you can live for him. 2 Corinthians 12:9-10. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me for the sake of Christ. When I am content with weakness, insults, hardships, persecution, and calamities, for when I am weak, then I am strong. So there's something about allowing yourself to just know you don't have it. I don't have this. But I also know not today, Satan. So don't allow yourself to become lukewarm and comfortable in your walk. Belief without action is consideration. James 1:22-24. But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourself. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks intently at his natural face in the mirror, for he looks at himself and goes away and at once forgets what he is like. So, like I said with the sports, more importantly, I love my Buffalo Bills football. That is just, if you know me, you know it's there. And Pastor was speaking to me about a year ago talking about NFL football fans, and I was there with that one. But so there's a great example through that shows even when in defeat, you keep fighting. So it's actually got labeled as the play, and I'd like to take a quick look at this real quick. And just so you know, this is about 26 years ago that this happened. And again, we'll get to right after you see this how much of an impact this has.
Reich on fourth down to throw. Pressure sacked by Jeffco. And fumble. And Leon Webb picks it up at the 40. Oh, look out, here he goes. Here comes the 10 to the 20. Go Leon! Oh, Leon Webb has it back out of his hand. It's a fumble. It's a fumble. He had it knocked out of his hand. He was hot dogging. and held it
Watch
out
when
at the
he gets
2-yard
up,
line.
too,
And
'cause
from
there's
behind,
even-
the Bills came and knocked it out of his hand.
It's not going to be a touchdown.
No, it's not. Don Beebe caught him from behind.
So Don Beebe, now mind you, this is Super Bowl 3 of 4 in a row. The Bills ended up getting a name off their name. Boy, I love losing Super Bowls. See, yeah, that's right, Juan. you know you can deal with pain if you stay a Bills fan. So, so anyways, so Don Beebe never quit. Never quit. This play even gets called the play. So I was unaware until about a month ago. Like I said, with this Bills football, I listened to a lot of the sports radio up there, and I'm listening, and Don Beebe's on. So as I looked more into this, the score at this moment is 52-17. The Bills are losing. This is the fourth quarter. This game is more than over. And if you get a better angle, he's down at like the 15-yard line. I mean, they're running go routes. They're just trying to get at whatever points they can on the board. He runs the whole field back to catch him at that one and take it away. So he's there. He says every game he goes to about the 50-yard line, does his prayer, and he says, that day it was just a simple prayer. He said, Lord, let me honor your name today more than ever, more than mine. That was the prayer. He said he stood up, selfishly, like, man, I'm going to score that game-winning touchdown today. And he felt good. He felt good. Even after that play, he didn't even realize it. If you notice when he gets up, he's still mad. They're getting their butts kicked. He didn't care he just made that play. He's going back, and he's still mad. This is the third year in a row we're coming out here, and we just look like fools. And but to this day, he gets fan mail 26 years later, each and every day, because now he relates to men, women, children, that when you don't give up, just keep fighting, and represent his name well. And he sees it now, that what a simple prayer, and in those moments you may not know how it's being answered, but God has his plan for everything. So in every moment, you have a choice to honor him or not. Overcome that temptation. Again, not today, Satan. James 1:13-14. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desires. Again, it's just so much. We gotta work on ourselves, people. Your Father's here to help. Galatians 5:7-8. You are running well. Who hindered you from obeying the truth? This persuasion is not from him who calls you. Not today, Satan. Not today. Even in the moments of pain, cling to the Lord for your comfort. Praise him even if the pain doesn't stop. Remember, pain is weakness leaving the body. I mean, I might have saw that on some guy's shirt that was definitely at the gym, but it's still, spiritually, it works too, okay? I understand that some of you may be dealing with some serious life problems, struggles, but they are just that. They are these life problems, these life struggles, and we have an eternity of no pain. Romans 8:18. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. Amen. John 16:33. I have said these things to you that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. So, one way you could handle this when attacking it, and again, here goes another lyric for you. So, when life gives you lemons, build a lemonade stand. Turn that around. You got to know that God won't give us more than we can handle. So James 1:2-4. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. So remember every time, one way, and the most important way in general, to attack these things is prayer. Way too often we fall back. He had entered the house, his disciples asked him privately, "Why could we not cast it out?" And he said to them, "This kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer." So God intercedes when we are weak. Again, allow yourself to be weak. Romans 8:26, likewise the Spirit helps us in your weakness, for we do not know what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit himself intercedes with us with groanings too deep for words. The Spirit's going to groan for you, people. Like, give it to God. Many of you are aware that we have welcomed our fourth child a couple weeks ago. And again, the church, being a family, thank you so much for all that you've done. The meals, the gifts were very, very much a blessing. So on July 10th, it's Wednesday, all of our children seem to love their home and mama and never want to come on their own. So we have set dates. And we're on our way to the hospital. We got some gas. We need some gas. And my wife wanted to drive because it was taking her mind off the surgery and everything. And sure enough, we leave the gas. She rolled the window down while I was getting some gas. Window don't go up. It broke. So she's driving down the highway, holding this window, trying to keep it from falling down. I'm getting frustrated. I knew I should have just drove, I wouldn't have rolled that window down, like this window would still be fixed, Here I am, like, I got a sermon about not today, Satan, and I'm letting it get to me. And we pulling into the hospital, boom, window's completely down. So only with baby 4 can you allow your wife to go in, check in, and try to go fix the window real quick before surgery time. So that's what I did, run over, got some duct tape in the store nearby, and, made my car a hoopty for the week and duct taped it all up. And, yep, thankfully she couldn't drive for a while, and I was able to get it fixed before she was really back in the driver's side with all that duct tape. But duct tape does not work that well, too. I know there's that saying that says, when in doubt, duct tape it, but They either started making that cheaper from when that saying came out, but it don't work. So now I'm all worried, like, I got a car that's just sitting in the parking lot, run out every once in a while. Okay, window's still up. Well, then we go into surgery. We come out, and that duct tape fell off. Window's just wide open. So thankfully some family was coming, and if you're in the construction world, there's this stuff called zip tape, zip-it tape. I mean, it weatherproofs. That thing held the window till it could be fixed. But so then as I'm fixing the window, I'm just sitting there, what about this window is it? And finally when it gets done, I got the new regulator in, and it just went up. It doesn't matter how many times that window fell. It was eventually going to get back up. And it was eventually going to work again. Proverbs 24:16. For the righteous falls 7 times and rises again, but the wicked stumble in times of calamity. I know I let that thing frustrate me a little more than it should have, but at the same time, it's just that. It's just, you get up, you rise again, and get over it. Again, here's another little lyric. You never said it would be easy, but you always said that you'd be with me. Yeah, no fear. I know you're here. My help comes from above. Things below won't bring me down. So it's just that. Satan's below you. Satan is not even on your level. So don't even allow him to be. Hebrews 2:14 through 18. Since therefore the children share in flesh and blood, he himself likewise partook of the same things, that through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is, the devil, and deliver all those who through fear and death were subject to lifelong slavery. For surely it is not angels that he helps, but he helps the offspring of Adam. That goes on, I think, one more there. Okay, yep. So therefore he had to be made like his brothers in every respect, so that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in the service of God, to make propitiation, I might have got that right, for the sins of the people, for the sins of the people, for because he himself has suffered when tempted, he is able to help those who are being tempted. Give it to Jesus. You see, Jesus didn't die so that we could sin. He died so that we have that resurrection power to battle against the one who is battling, and that is Satan. And he is going to try to take whatever feelings, emotions, and tell you it ain't right. I mean, just even leading up, you ain't Jedediah, you're not good enough to be up here right now. You know you got your stuff. Just put that away. Put it away. When Pastor asked me, I've just always tried to set, after that 8 years ago, that if I even had an inkling that it was from God, I'll just say yes. And then from there, we'll figure out where it goes. But when he says yes, you know that you're already taken care of. So he doesn't need you. He just needs you to say yes, okay? So sometimes when you think you're declaring not today, I skipped that one part. Sorry. So God formed you so he can use you. You're here for God. As this sermon was coming up, even after the baby, sometimes when you think you're declaring not today, Satan, God has a different plan, though. Haiti's been one area that I just always wanted to say yes to after the first time I ever went there. But back in the year 15 and 16, we were there over New Year's, and just some things happened that were just out of nowhere, but which, I don't know how to word this one just right. I mean, I don't know if it was Satan or not, but God had his own plan there. I remember that New Year's Eve night, laying in that tent with Philemon, and these interpreters were just blaring this song on repeat. They were like right across from us. And I'm sitting there like, man, do I even want to keep doing this? Do I want to deal with this struggle and deal with these issues? And that song just kept playing. When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. And then from there, Phil and I continued to decide to go. And we continued to get resistance, in the year 17 when we went, it's the first time we're stepping out, just the two of us. All of a sudden we find out a plane costs $700 each way. We were used to, hey, everybody pitched in the 150, and God provided that money from the past place that we never even saw it coming from a previous church. My wife's just like, well, why don't you ask old pastor? And so I did, and it was done. And then even up to this year, as we're coming in, things have just been rearranging, and I've been sitting here battling like, oh man, this is Satan trying to, tell me not to go. But I came into the beauty of it. It's God telling me, look, Jedediah, I know you. You're going to go anyways, but you got other things you need to take care of at that moment. You're going to go, but we're just going to go a little later. And it's a tough battle to always try to get that clarity of what you're battling, where it is God. I remember sitting in Haiti with Pastor, and he was making a comment. I heard my father say to me, and I remember asking him, like, how do you really just, know God's talking to you? Sometimes you don't even really know, and I just had maybe one instance after that. My son, if you're a parent, you're always trying to tell your kids, come on. They're usually not a lot of the time. And one night I was putting him in bed, I'm just like, son, man, how many times do I got to tell you this? And it was instant. The father hit me, Jedediah, how many times I got to tell you that? How many times I got to tell you this? I still love you. I was like, you're right. I mean, it was a self-check to myself in that moment. But the problem is, if you have to have finite answers to infinite questions, you're never going to move. Okay? I mean, God has knowledge that we will not even be able to attain. So don't try to. Some things are just better off just to let it be. So again, as I kind of close here, I don't know if I just sped through that or not, but again, when Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. And remember, not today, Satan. The Son has his hands on me. And I think that was my last point up there, to just take home with you, that not today, Satan. The Son has his hands on me. And just the more you dig into it, just take yourself out of it. Take yourself out of it. That's about the best way you can do it. I know every time I'm failing, I'm serving me, myself, and I, and those are the moments where you just need to sit back, let it go, give it to God. So I'm going to close here in prayer. And again, Lord, I think that decision yet. Just know that you don't have to be good enough. You just need to be humble enough. Come, take your time. Know that Jesus died, was crucified, he rose again, and then he is now your Savior. And that is as easy as that in a belief, and if you need to come to that, just come to that. But we pray that you watch over those here that have their week set ahead of them and everything else, that through their week that we stay focused on you and just remind ourselves, it's not today for you, Satan. It is not your day, and it never will be your day, and that you are going to strike even harder, Father. I thank you for this time, and just be with everyone, Father, and lead them off, and knowing that when Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. Amen.